Hello friends, this is Safa, your instructor. Welcome to another episode of the video series where we learn Kotlin from Codecademy's Learn Kotlin interactive tutorial. In the previous video, we went over data types and variables lesson. Now, let's go and learn about using text variables. In this lesson, we will learn about strings and characters. Strings, as you might remember from the earlier lessons, is a data type in Kotlin where you can store some text and you surround them by double quotes. So this structure is called a string, okay, or this. Strings, as here it says, a sequence of characters wrapped in double quotes. Its characters can include various combinations of digits, letters, symbols, and white space. White space here is important because space is also a character in digital world, okay? So strings are made up of characters, and in Kotlin, a character is a data type representing a single letter, digit, or symbol wrapped in single quotes, and that is called char, okay? So if you want to denote just one character, for example, the letter L here, you can use a char typed variable. Char is another type we'll learn. But a string is a combination of multiple characters and it is surrounded by double quotes and it's a different data type, which is again called string, okay? Some things to keep in mind about characters. The character A is not the same as the small a. The capital A is not the same as the small a, as these letters represented by different Unicodes. Unicode, like there is a good reading here. If you go ahead and read, Unicode is, as Wikipedia says, a standard for the consistent encoding, representation, and handling of text. Okay, this is an advanced reading, so I'll skip this for now. But you can think that each of the letters, digits, and each specific piece of text is represented by some code behind. And letter A, capital A, is different than the small a, okay? These are represented differently, and this is not equal to this one. Cool. And also, you need to know that the digit 1 in chars or in string is not the same thing as the integer 1, as these values signify different data types. One is integer, the other one is char or string. So let's not get lost in this kind of theory, but let's take a look at the instructions. It says, observe some of the shorthand variable declaration for string and char values and click next when you're ready to move on. So here we can see that it creates a new variable, which is a val, so it's an immutable character, and it's and this piece of code stores Statue of Liberty, and there is also this emoji inside this landmark variable. And also in the next line, it creates another variable, again an immutable variable. I keep repeating this because I want you to remember what we have learned in the previous lessons. And it assigns New York into this variable. Next line, again, country is USA. And then it created a comment line here. So this comment line and this comment line will be omitted by the compiler, and it is only for developers to take notes or annotate their code so that other developers or your future self or the readers of this code can understand better. So it's kind of created sections here by writing some command lines. So it says strings here and then creates some strings, and then it says characters and then puts characters here. So letter is A, digit is 1, and symbol is asterisk. And also please take a close look to here. Since they are characters, they have single quotes. But since these are strings, they have double quotes. So if it'll help you understand better, this is a string, this is a string, and this is a string. And this is a char, this is a char, and this is another char typed variable. Okay, so this and this are really different and represented by different data structures, data types. It also included some fun fact, and that is emojis consist of multiple Unicode characters, and it cannot be put inside char typed variables because this is not one single character. It is more than that. Okay, cool. Running this won't produce anything in a console, so I'm gonna hit next. Okay, now we will learn about string concatenation, a fancy word of appending strings together end to end. Okay, so here, if we want to combine the word Mike and the word Wazowski, which is a first name and a last name, we can just use the plus operator to add one string to another. And also you can see that first it adds up these two strings together, and then this combines another string. This makes up another string, and then with this combined string it also adds another one. So concatenation happens first here, and then after this is calculated, a second string concatenation happens here. In the first one, we add a space string, a string that is consisted of just one space character is added to first name, and then last name added to this combined string, which ends up being Mike space Wazowski. For example, if we have a variable like this, user greeting, now we can refer to this first name and last name and combine some other strings like this space here or this comma space, how are you doing today, question mark string. So these all combined together, concatenated together, creates this string. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead the instructions and try to solve these challenges. In the first one, it says using the given variables dog, state, and movie, output the following code using string concatenation. Okay, so what I can see here is Toto is the name of the dog, and Kansas is the state here, and the Wizard of Oz is the name of the movie. So what I'm gonna do is I will print using println, for example, dog plus comma I've a feeling we are not in space plus state, which will bring Kansas into here, and then we'll continue adding up more, another string, space, because there is a space after Kansas, so anymore dot and then space and then a dash and then plus the movie's name, movie, and then after the movie name there is a comma, so comma space 19 39. Okay. So I think it wants us to print this, no? Yeah, output. Output means here to print. So let's run and see if it builds up this text. Okay, so there is a problem here. Let's try to understand what is the problem. First, let's try to understand what is this message telling us. This message is not coming from a syntax error, because if it's related to a syntax error and coming from the compiler, Kotlin compiler, then it should be here, okay, in the console. It'll say error warning something. But this message is coming from the Codecademy system, and it comes here whenever something is unexpected to them and something is not well suited to their intended answer or solution. Okay, so let me first compare the string I print and then the string they want me to print. Toto, comma, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Dot space and dash and the Wizard of Oz 1939. I cannot see any difference, but maybe it's because of this. Yeah, so when I make this wider, now I can see that there is another space after this dash. Since I don't print that one, Codecademy complains and wants me to output the exact string they want. Okay, so yeah, if I do that, you can see this is different than what I produce. So after putting the space, now it should work. Let me run. Okay, now I have the green check mark, so I can go to the next lesson. So, okay, string templates. This is actually a very cool feature of Kotlin, which didn't exist in Java. So I like using string templates a lot. It's an alternative to string concatenation, and you can use it to concatenate strings, and actually not only strings, but you can also combine other variables like integers or floats or booleans or doubles into a string using string template feature of Kotlin. So for example, let's say we want to combine hello and then variable name and then an exclamation mark. If we want to use string concatenation via this plus operator, we need to write this much of code. But if we use a template, we can do it in a more concise way. Okay, so we just create one string instead of creating multiple strings and combining them. We just create one string and start typing our string. And whenever we want to inject a variable into the string, we use the $sign. And after this $sign is here, then Kotlin program understands that this is a variable, so it brings up the value into the string. Okay, so also let's inspect this. For example, let's say we have 4 variables: the passenger name, train number, time of departure, and time of arrival. Each is stored in a different variable, which is usually the case in computer programs. And let's say we want to print a notification. Mrs. Passenger name will be on the train number, train departing at time of departure to Dev City and arriving at time of arrival. So if we want to use plus operator to concatenate all this information, it'll be a huge mess because we need to create 5 different strings or maybe more and add them, and we most probably will make a mistake regarding white spaces or commas or dots or whatever. as I did before in the previous task. So each variable gets evaluated within the text, producing the final itinerary information. So this information comes into the string and creates this Mrs. Alex will be on the 2039 train departing at 4 p.m. to their city and arriving at 8 p.m. Cool. String templates String templates are widely used and are often the preferred syntax by Kotlin developers. Keep in mind that string concatenation is also a valid strategy, so it's important to be familiar with both when collaborating with others. So this means do not think string templates is superior to concatenation in all means. There will be some cases where you would prefer string concatenation, but maybe in most cases, a string template would do the job for you. Cool. Let's go ahead and fix this challenge, solve this challenge. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this task. In plant KT, set up a string template using the given variables to output the following text. So let me copy this and create a print statement or a println statement, and then create a string with double quotes and then paste this whole string. And instead of this plant, I will use $plant, and here $pot size and $day num. Running this will inject all of these variables into the string. Okay? An orchid in a 6-inch pot must be watered every 7 days. Cool. So that is how you can inject other strings or variables with other types like an integer into a string in a very concise way. Cool. By the way, I think I mistakenly added the string a space character, but Codecademy figured that out, so no problems. Okay, user input. User input is an important part of computer applications. It says to unlock our phones, we enter a code. When shopping online, we give our payment information and such and such. So here, the input we can get from a command line application is actually what user types to this command line. So we will use readline function for that. But if you ask me, if you're learning Kotlin to make Android apps, this is very irrelevant because in Android applications, the user's input is not coming from the standard input, the terminal or the console, but users interact with your app just by tapping two buttons or using the keyboard and entering text into edit text. So just to make Codecademy happy, let's learn about this readline function and let's do the exercises. But this is not really important if you're learning Kotlin to develop Android applications. But if you want to use Kotlin for, let's say, terminal or command line interface applications, maybe desktop applications or server-side applications, then readline function would be handy to you. Okay, so here, when this function readline is run, then the program pauses and waits for an input from user. Okay, so after this line and this function is reached, the computer will pause and then it waits for you to write something and then press enter or return character, and then this text you just input to the console will be returned by this function into this variable. Okay, functions can return some values We will see this later on in this course. And here, this is a function because we're using a pair of parentheses to run this. Println is also a function. You can see that after the name println, we also have a pair of parentheses and some arguments inside. But yeah, this is some other day's topic. So let's go ahead and continue reading. For example, let's say you printed something like this after reading one line of input from user, and let's say you ask the user what is your favorite color, or like please enter your favorite color, and the user answered by saying red and pressing enter. Then red is stored in my color, so that now in the next lines of your code you can print something like this: your favorite color is red. This example might come stupid to you, but actually you can decide on different things. Let's say you can get this red, the favorite color of the user, and maybe change your app, change how your app is looking, or maybe like you can save this information so that you can remember this information later on, maybe days after a user gave you this information. So there are like smart ways to use this, but since we're just learning this concept, let's not go into detail. So here, since we have the console open, the bash open, we need to make a change to our current environment. So let's read here. They say, before we continue, let's note a change to our current environment. In order to work with user input, the output terminal on the right side of our screen has been changed to a terminal running the bash shell. We use this new terminal to type input into our program, as well as use it to compile and run our program. I don't know if this is really necessary actually, but they decided to do that. So let's follow along, okay? Firstly, we need to copy this code. This code, Kotlin compiler, now will compile this code here, okay? And then run this. But before, let's add this section of, well, name, my name, because they used my name. Well, my name is readline. Okay, now after printing this, the code will pause here, and after we input our name, it'll save this information into my name variable, and after that it'll print your name is my name. Okay, cool. So let's run this. And then now it says time to compile the code. Let's compile this code. But it shouldn't be my code KT, because it should be user input KT. So let's change that. User input KT, which is the name of this file here. Okay, user input KT into my code.jar. And now we need to use another command, java jar my code jar, and this is gonna use Java to run this Java archive file or jar file to finally print this and runs the other pieces. So now it says please type your name and hit enter. You type Safa and hit enter, and it says now your name is Safa. Cool. I don't know why this is having problems. Maybe if I run one more, it now make me pass. But no, this is not the correct command to use in the terminal. Did you use Kotlin C? I did actually. Maybe I need to do it again. No, because okay, it wants us to create a jar file called user input jar. That was the problem. So you most probably may hit the same errors. So it's good that I'm doing some mistakes here. It teaches you. Nice. So now we pass this, and then after that we will use this code but with slight modifications. Now the created jar file is called user input. Oops. User input jar. And now type your name. Safa. Your name is Safa. So what we learn here is the Kotlin compiler compiles Kotlin code into Java archive. Okay. And using Java program, we can run Java archives using the Java virtual machine. Cool. This is how Java and Kotlin is related to each other. Okay, now let's talk about some of the built-in properties and functions of strings. These are functions defined in Kotlin standard libraries so that we can use them in our convenience. So, for example, one of the most common properties of string is the property length, which will return the length of the string in characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, including each and every of the character, including this space. Okay, now it prints 13. Okay, and also another function. By the way, this is called a property. We access it using the dot syntax. We put a dot after our string, and then we type the property name we want to access regarding this string, tallest mountain. But now we will use capitalized function. Since this is defined as a function, we will use a pair of empty parentheses to call this function on the string name. Cool. So the name is Codecademy, but if we call name.capitalize, it'll return Codecademy with this capital C. However, after doing that, if we print name again, it still prints C because this didn't change anything. It just produced a new string containing the capitalized version of the original string. If you want to persist your change, this is a trick to use. You can say name is equal to name.capitalize. So the first thing our program will do is to run this part, name.capitalize, and it'll return a string which contains the capitalized version of the original string, and then it stores this information into the name afterwards. So we can persist the change into our variable. Now, after you do that, if you print the name, now it has the modified version with the capital C. Cool. So we learned two different things. The one is length. The first is length, and the second is capitalize. Since length is a property, we don't use any parentheses when accessing it. But since capitalize is a function, we use a pair of parentheses. Okay, they are both defined on strings. So you get a string, for example, tallest mountain, and then you put a dot and then the name of the property or the name of the function, and then followed by a pair of parentheses. Cool. There's this word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's a reference to the movie Mary Poppins, where they sing this song with umbrellas at hand, and the song goes like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious kind of thing, which is a made-up word, I guess, but it's like a very long word. So it's like I don't know, useless information. Let's do that. So in Mary Poppins KT, below the initialization of the given variable, reassign the value of word to the result of word.capitalize, like we saw earlier. So word is word capitalized, and they say make sure to do this on one line, and I don't know how can I do that in 2 lines. Yes, now there is a problem with my code. Yay, first syntax errors I did not intentionally, but without knowing. So it says unresolved reference capitalized. So it means I don't recognize this as a function or as a property or anything. What do you mean? And that is just because I mistakenly put a D at the end. So if I delete this, now capitalized function is spelled correctly and the program will be compiled without a hiccup. Cool. Now we get the check mark, and it gave us a warning because we haven't used the word. But yeah, no worries. Now we will use it. It says, on the following line, declare a variable word size, while word size, and initialize it with the result of appending the length property on word. It means word.length. And since length is not a function but is a property, we won't use a pair of parentheses. Again, I keep repeating myself, but I want to get your attention. Okay, and a print statement that prints this. So let's use a print statement this time, not a println statement, and put a pair of double quotes and then replace this with $sign word and this with $sign word size. Let's run this. And it says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious has 34 letters. Nice. Okay, another topic. Character escape sequences. What is that? Let's read and see what Codecademy tells us. In Kotlin, we have the ability to format our text with the help of character escape sequences. When escaped, specific characters such as T and N represent an action or command to be performed by the compiler. What does it mean to escape a character? To escape a character means putting a backslash in front of the letter, okay? In front of the character, sorry. So if you put this backslash in front of N, it creates another character or another command that will interpret it differently by the compiler. So for example, if you want to insert a new line character into a string, what you'll do is just to put a backslash N, and this means a new line to the Kotlin compiler. So also, for example, if you want to insert a tab, you can use backslash T, or if you want to insert a double quote in a string, you can escape it by backslashing or putting a backslash in front of it. Cool. So you might ask, why would you even put a double quotes inside a string? Strings are already surrounded by double quotes, but this is different. Let's say if you want to display a text here, and that text has to show a double quote. If you try to do that inside, let's say, if you want to show double quotes here and here, This will break the whole code because this will interpret it as one string and the other is interpreted as another string, and this code won't work and will give a syntax error. To do that, we can use this escaped double quote so that compiler will know that it should display a double quote in the output text. Cool. For example, if you want to display this, may the force be with you in double quotes and then a dash and a Star Wars, you need to use escaped double quotes here and here. This will turn into this, and this will turn into this when you print this string. So here it says help Cody format the code and challenge KT using the appropriate character escape sequences on the given string. The final text should look like this. Let's do that. Dear learner, emoji, comma. I hope you're enjoying. So here we can put \n. The first one will move the cursor to here, just below the letter D, and this next one, the second \n, will move the cursor here, so that the words following that will start in this line. I hope you're enjoying the Learn Kotlin course. Yes, I am. And after that, there is a new line character. So let's put \n here. You made tremendous progress. Keep going. And then a new line here. And let's delete these extra spaces. Instead of space, we placed a new line character. And remember, knowledge is power. So knowledge is power. This part should be surrounded by double quotes. To do that, I need to escape one double quote here and another after the dot. Sorry, yeah, like this. And it says Francis Bacon. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I know that after the dot, I need to put 1 and 2 new line characters. And lastly, Whitlow, new line, Cody. So running this should print something very similar to this one. Dear learner, I hope, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think it works. Let's make a review of what we have learned before closing this video. We learned that strings are sequences of characters wrapped or enclosed in double quotes. A character, on the other hand, represents a single character, like a single digit or a symbol or a letter wrapped in single quotes, whereas the strings are wrapped in double quotes. Okay, this is the difference. And string concatenation is the process of joining strings together using a plus operator. But we have also an alternative, which is string templates, and they are used to substitute variable values or inject variable values within a string using the $symbol. The readline function is used to accept a user's input via the bash shell or a standard input. And the built-in length property, which is defined on strings, determines the number of characters in a string. The built-in capitalize function, on the other hand, is used to capitalize the string onto which is appended. So it's like when you call capitalize on a word, it goes ahead to the first character of that string and it capitalizes it and returns this newly created string and does not make any change on the original string. Since capitalize is a function, we use a pair of parentheses afterwards to call this function. But since length is a property, you cannot put a pair of parentheses. You can just access this property by writing the name of it. And lastly, character escape sequences allow for the compiler to perform certain formatting operations on a string. Run the code and review KT and view Cody's message. Feel free to also use the space to hone your understanding of text variables and practice writing Kotlin code. Let's run and then close the video afterwards. Dear learner, I hope you're enjoying the Learn Kotlin course. And also, I hope you're enjoying my annotation and my transcription of it because I read a lot of text now. Okay. You made tremendous progress. Keep going. And remember, knowledge is power. Francis Bacon. With love, Cody. Okay. Maybe I can change this part into a robotic voice. Dear learner, I hope you're enjoying the Learn Kotlin course. You made tremendous progress. Keep going and remember, knowledge is power. With love, Cody. Okay, nice. See you in the next episode.